Welcome back, everybody. We are back with yet another week of the podcast.
Welcome back. Appreciate you guys listening. We got a good topic today. I mean, not really much to update you guys on as far as my end. I mean, just getting ready for my show. It was. Oh, actually, no. That's what's new. So,
nothing
let
new
me give
to
it.
update, and then immediately
new,
goes
and then I was like, wait a minute. There is something to update. So we've known. I talked about it last weekend where. We're within 12 weeks or whatever it was that my coach said a couple weeks back. So, last week I was give or take like 8 to 10 weeks out, wherever it is. But actually, I think it was Tuesday of this week. It was Tuesday. My coach picked the show. So I'm going to be doing Victory Classic here in Shelby, North Carolina, June 24th. So I am just exactly 5 weeks out as of today, which today is the 20th of May. So I'm 5 weeks out right now because the 24th is a Saturday and today is a Saturday. So exactly 5 weeks out right now. Tomorrow is going to be 4 weeks and some change. So got that coming up, which is going to be interesting. I was surprised that he picked such a close show just because we have to kind of put the hammer down now and drop some fat. But I mean, it is kind of coming off pretty quick for the most part. And, we'll just cut some food, add some cardio, and maybe increase legit anabolics. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. But we'll go from there. So, I mean, that's my newest update. So I got 5 weeks and I got a week in Florida next month before the show. So I'll be 2 weeks out so I'm in Florida from the 8th to I think the 14th. So I'm there for a week. And then I got my show a little over a week after I get back.
So you're almost at peak week, and
literally, yeah. I'm gonna be dice as fuck for Florida, dude. I'm so hyped. Yeah, I'm gonna be my leanest I've ever been.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the temptations.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll be hard because like when we were last in Florida, we were getting dinner all the time, like almost every day. We were going out to dinner and we were getting ice cream after and shit like that. So it's like, I mean, that was a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's gonna be hard, but also like it's gonna be kind of a test to me whether or not I want it bad enough, because I'm gonna be so close to my show that anything I eat off plan, which I'm gonna set that goal for myself to not eat anything off plan remotely, just water really at restaurants. But that if I eat anything off plan, it's gonna reflect my show because I'm not gonna come in, and because we have so much work to do in the next 5 weeks. Like, it's really going to set me back. I'm not talking like if we're 16 weeks out and I'm at the level I'm at now, we barely have to do any cutting, really. Like a super lean cut, like a couple hundred calories under maintenance, and I'd get really lean for a show if I was 16 weeks out. But I'm 5 weeks out and I still got quite a bit of weight to lose. So anything that I like take in that's not part of the plan and put on as weight is you're going to reflect obviously in the show. So it's going to be that much more of a motivator.
I expect to get a text from you saying the restaurant wouldn't let me use their microwave to heat up my chicken and rice.
Dude, I'm wondering if they'll let me do that. Like, if I could be like, can you guys just like microwave this? I'll pay you guys like $5 or something to microwave it. Like just a minute. I'll be like, specifically this 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's the sweet spot. Can I do that? But like, bring it out when their food comes out.
And please clean out the microwave. I don't want anything else in
there. Yeah. No oils. I don't want any fish residue. Nothing. I don't want carb residue. If there's any fucking fats in there, take it out. I brought my microwave. Can you plug it in? Just a fresh microwave.
Don't even ask them. Just find like a wall outlet and plug it in.
Yeah.
Someone else has a booth and you walk up, you're like, excuse me, I'm going to need your booth for the next minute 20.
Yeah, 1 minute 20 exactly. Let me plug it in real quick. Yeah, I know. I mean, that'd be cool if they could microwave it. I don't know. I mean, I got to try to keep the same circadian rhythm for the most part. So I got to like roughly train. I mean, ideally I want to wake up and go to bed around the same time that I normally do. That's the biggest thing. And then I want to train ideally. I mean, I'm going to end up training in the morning. If I could pick, I'd train in the early afternoon, but we're going to be at the beach at the time. So I'm going to train in the morning and try to eat at the same time every day as I normally do. So right now I'm trying to get my meals in within the same like 10-minute or so time frame for each meal. So like my first meal is usually around 8:30. My second meal is around like 11:15. My third meal is around 2. So I'm trying to get it like the exact same 10-minute time frame or so, give or take 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to do that when I'm down in Florida as well. But again, it'll be a test. It'll be a test of how bad I want it. I mean, we've been working towards the show for about 2.5 years now. So
Was there any kind of mindset change for you when he finally gave you the date? Because obviously you guys knew that it was coming up, but the actual date was set, the actual venue was picked. Was there like a change from that point forward?
um not really drastically. Like it's more of like I have a deadline now. So it's like
Yeah.
before I was still doing the same thing. I was sticking to the plan, not deviating. I knew show was coming up soon. I'm trying to lose all the fat I can. That's what I was focusing on. But now it's like, okay, this is when I need to come dialed in. And if I'm this far out, how do I look in comparison to the competition, stuff like that? So like I already know a few guys who are competing in that show. One of them is actually one of my coach's other client, and then Chewy has a client that's competing in that show as well. So like I can kind of I know a couple guys roughly who's going to be competing in it. So I'm like, okay, I know Chewy's client's going to be competing in Masters, so he won't be my competition. But my coach's other client, I think, will end up being in my height range as well. So he might be
Hmm.
in the same class as me. So it's like, okay, how does he look 5 weeks out versus me? So that's kind of what's coming into my head now is like, what's my competition looking like? I mean, I've been to the show before. Past 2 years, I've actually gone as a spectator because I've known people competing in each year. 2 years ago was my coach, and then the year after, so last year was Chewy. He was competing in it, so I went for that. So I've been the past 2 years, and I know the level of competition there. So basically, my coach is like, you're gonna get at least overall like placing. So like he's basically guaranteeing me the class win, which is kind of what I expect.
Yeah, but you
Um,
still got to work for it.
yeah, of course, of course. If everything goes to plan, which it should, I'll be at least winning the class and then going for overall after that. But it also depends on his other client competing. So him and I both have our pros and cons. So I think it's going to come down to what the judges prefer. Um, I got to get some posing work in for my transitions. He has to get his posing in for the actual poses themselves. So we got our pros and cons here and there. But as far as mindset goes, I mean, what's funny is that the day he told me that night, I had a super vivid dream of me competing, like it felt real. And then the
Yeah.
next morning, I weighed myself and dropped over 2 pounds overnight.
Hmm.
Granted, it's back on
Manifesting,
now.
manifesting the potential.
No, but for real, like that's what it was like. Granted, it's back on now. I'm back over 200, but I was like 199 point or 198.8 or something.
Hmm.
So I dropped like over 2.5 pounds, like since from Saturday to Wednesday, when I did my Wednesday weigh-in. So now I have two weigh-ins a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, in case we need to make any differences. And the closer we get to the show, the more my weigh-ins are going to be. And it's probably peak week is going to be like daily weigh-ins. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, really, just for me now, it's just staying dialed in, making sure I'm not deviating, and it's like no, I can't eat that. Like I literally like we went to this picnic thing today that was like done up and all of that with our friends, and like you could see it on my Instagram story, like literally like my Tupperware, like plain chicken and green beans in the Tupperware on the plate, and everybody else is eating like Chick-fil-A and
Yep.
chips and stuff like that, and drinking alcohol. And I'm here with like an energy drink, a 0 calorie energy drink, and
Hmm.
chicken and broccoli, or not chicken and green beans. So yeah, it's like I literally can't stray at all. Like there's no choice. Like I have to stay on plan. You know.
But they had a microwave for a minute 20 there, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, I microwaved it inside and then brought it out to the picnic. So I had to do that, but everything else was like pre-made. They had like pre-made subs from like Firehouse Subs and stuff, which is like a
Oof.
big sub chain down here. So like that was hard, but it was really hard sticking to the plan, watching all that. But like that's also gonna be my test in Florida. Like one of my favorite foods ever is gator, and it's so hard to get it anywhere but Florida. So like that sucks. I'm not gonna be able to get any gator.
And plus,
So
Florida just has the overall like ambience and nightlife, especially to just very easily go out and do stuff.
oh
So
yeah, yeah,
that's gonna
and
be a test too.
we go out every night for dinner, and like a lot of time we do lunches and stuff, and it's like they're all gonna be drinking, we're gonna be walking on like a boardwalk and shit, like we're going to Siesta Key, so like there's gonna be a lot to do,
Yeah.
and like a lot of ice cream and shit, and it's like I literally can't have any of that. Like I'm gonna be carrying a jug of water with me everywhere I go.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna have to figure out something to tide me over, like just to get through the day. And I'm gonna be 2 weeks out, so I'm gonna be hungry as shit. But the good news is that we don't really do much as it is. Like most of the day, we end up just lounging on the beach. Besides, like going out to dinner and walking around maybe after that.
Yeah.
So like for the most part, I'll be lounging and just kind of doing whatever, and then I could just eat whenever, and I'll be enjoying the sun. I'll get a little tan prior to the actual spray tan for the show, and then
Are you doing your own spray tan, or are you going somewhere for it?
no, every show they do almost every single show there's a spray tan company that will sponsor the show, and they do the spray tans for everybody. Um so you end up doing it like the day before during the weigh-ins, I think. So I got to go the day before, the 2 days before, I got to check exactly when it is. We go weigh in. I think it's a Thursday. So the show's on a Saturday. I think it's that Thursday from 5 to 7. I have to go and weigh in. So I have to drive somewhere. I think it's to the hotel or something and weigh in. I think that's when they do the spray tan. So yeah, that's what we got to do. But what sucks is
Your
that
wife didn't want to get the can and do it herself.
no, she's got this tanning lotion now that's been working for her. But I'm like, I'll just wait. I'm gonna wait for Florida, get some natural tan, and then they got to spray tan me anyways for the show. So, but if we do the spray, I'll find out more. If we do the spray tan before the show, then I'm gonna need to change the sheets on the
Yep.
bed and do like shitty sheets
Yep.
that we don't mind like kind of ruining a little bit. Like it'll mostly wash out, but in the case that it does stain a little bit, I don't want to stain our main sheets that we use. So gotta
I
prioritize
would
that.
probably sleep in like sweatpants and a baggy sweatshirt and just cover yourself completely and then just like throw out the clothes or inside
Yeah,
out the wash. Or,
yeah,
like,
that's an idea. I don't know. I'll talk to my coach and I'll talk to other guys who compete and see what they do. Um, but yeah, so that's the biggest change this week is just nothing's changed actually on the program yet. I'm kind of waiting for my coach to send me an update. Chances are he is going to send me an update at some point. So I'm just waiting for that. And then we'll probably, whatever it is, the change up, I'll get into it. But we haven't changed anything with that Wednesday update. So Wednesday weigh in, that is.
and you're doing men's physique, so what's your weigh-in cap? What do you have to come in
I
under?
think, let me check. So I think it's based off the NPC. Let me check.
Because I know it's based off obviously your height. So
Yeah. Let me look it up. See if I could find the weight caps and stuff. Let's see. Uh, yeah, June 24th, Kitty Promotions. Registration's not open yet. I'll pay for that next month. And you also got to pay for an NPC card, which is like $150, which is
yeah,
dumb, but I get it. Um,
is that like a step above amateur shows?
no,
Like,
so NPC is like basically the amateur division, and then there's the
well,
IFBB.
isn't there shows you can just pay like a flat rate and just go?
It maybe, but if it's not, if it's part of the NPC, what you have to do is you have to pay for an NPC card, which allows you to compete in the NPC. It's like a yearly thing. It's like $150 a
Yeah.
year and allows you to compete in any show you want. And then you got to pay to actually compete in the show. So it's $150 for the card, and then it's $115 to compete in each class. So like if I go to like compete in classic and men's physique, um then I have to pay for like $230 or something.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can find rules. Let's see, men's physique. I think it's based off the NPC. Um,
I'm also happy to announce that I will be competing in this show as well. I'll be there in the wheelchair division and really repping things.
yeah, good idea. Well, okay, so it depends on how many height classes there are. So I don't know how many classes there are going to be. So there, from my understanding, there isn't like a weight cap um, for men's physique. But the thing is you're going for a certain look, so you don't want to be heavy coming into it. Classic physique, there is a weight cap. You have to be in a weight range. But men's physique, you have to fit the men's physique look. So like 4 height classes. So there's up to 8 height classes, anywhere from 2 to 8. Which I think this one, if I remember properly, was I think 4. I'm pretty sure last year I think it was 4, which is 5'6" and under, 5'6" to 5'8", 5'8" to 5'10", and over 5'10". But it's 5'6", so it's over 5'6" up to including 5'8". So like if you're 5'8 and a half, you have to be the one above that. But if you're exactly 5'8", then you can compete in that lower class if you want to.
Yeah.
Um, so chances are I'm going to end up being the 5'10" and up. But if there's 6 weight classes, which probably not, they're split into like 1-inch ranges. So 5'7" and under, and then 5'7", 5'8", 5'8", 5'9", 5'9" to 5'11", and then 5'10", 5'11" to 6 foot, and then 6 foot and up. So,
That's
um,
me.
yeah, it's a bit more. Either way, you're guaranteed to be in the highest weight class or highest height class, because even with 8 height classes, it's over 6'1". So like you would be in
Yeah.
the tallest weight
I would
height
be in
class no matter
everything.
what. So with like Chewy, he's 5'5", so he's in the shortest one each time. So like he doesn't have to worry about what class he's in. For me, it's like, who am I competing against? Because like my other coach's client is like around 5'10", and I'm like 5'11", 5'11 and a half, even sometimes closer to 6 foot, depending on my posture for the day or whatever. So like, are we going to be competing against each other? It's like, we don't know. My coach is hoping we're not. He's hoping that we're in different weight or height classes. So that way we're not competing against each other until the overall.
I wonder if there's like, as a coach's standpoint, like wanting to get into multiple classes. So then, obviously, like if let's say you get separate divisions and different height divisions. I mean, and
Yeah.
you wipe the floor in yours, and he wipes the floor in his. Obviously, people will ask like, who's your coach and whatnot. So I feel like there's incentive for him to have you guys in separate divisions and do well, because then his name gets out there more.
Yeah. Yes and no. But my coach is at the point where he has like a wait list on his clients.
Ah,
So
okay.
like he's at the point where he can pick and choose who his clients are. Um, Tons of people ask to be his client. So he's at that point now. So for him, it's not really about like, if you're new as a coach, then yeah, the marketing is there's a little bit of incentive. Um, but a lot of the time, most bodybuilders at this point are anywhere from 5'8" to like 6 foot typically. So like, it's hard to be like, yeah, I want this guy and this guy to compete in the show, even though this guy's not ready. It's like, it's really ideally just whoever is ready, and he's been the other client has been in prep for way longer than I have been. So
Yeah.
um that'll be interesting as well. I think he's been in prep for like, it's going to end up being probably about 12 weeks when he hits the show. For me, it's going to be like 8, maybe a little less. So that's going to be interesting at least. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm hoping to get the overall. That's what I'm hoping.
Just gotta have that confidence that you've been having for a while,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
just bring that in and just crush it.
we put so much effort and work in the past like 2.5 years, my coach and I, and like we've been ready for a show for like a year and a half. Like my first show was supposed to be January of last year, but we've been pushing it off until I was ready, until like I had enough muscle mass, I had like good proportions, like my posing was down, like we were waiting for everything. And then the wedding came along, and we're going to do September of last year, and then push that because he didn't want to push my body through it and then have my wedding like right after and have my hormones all fucked up. So it's like, all right, let's just push it till after. And then, so like, it was just, we just kept pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. So now it's at this point where it's like, I'm going to end up being on the heavier side, like what I want to be. Like, I'm going to probably be like 185 ish, 180, 185, which really from there, only maybe like 10, 15 more pounds of muscle. And I could probably compete in like the pro stage.
Yeah.
So, which really like is pretty cool. For me at this point, it's not necessarily about hitting my pro card, because I don't necessarily think even if I get my pro card, I don't think I'll even really compete in pro for a while. So for me, it's just getting up on stage, and ideally I want to get nationally qualified. That's my goal, and losing all the fat that's stubborn, so that way I can keep a better proportion physique throughout the year, even in the off season. Consistently having abs versus like before with the baby fat that's still there, it'll cover my abs when I'm bulking. So like, I want to be able to lose all that so I can stay relatively lean for the most part throughout the year.
Joe aesthetics lean all of the year.
Yeah, no. Or like Tristan Lee, just like
Yeah,
dice the gills constantly.
the
Um,
entire year.
yeah, he was gonna kill himself with the food he was eating though. It was ridiculous. Just all protein, like keto diet 24/7.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my main goal right now. So it's less about like getting my pro card and stuff, because a lot of time guys who get their pro cards aren't ready to compete professionally. They just want to be able to say they're pros. And it's like, yeah, there's that incentive, but like you're going to end up paying for a $500 pro card or whatever it's cost now. And you're not going to compete for a year. So it's just going to go down the
Yeah.
drain, you know? So it's like, what's the point? You know,
Is
I'd
there an
rather,
is there an expiration? Let's say you hit pro. Do you ever lose pro status, or can you just keep renewing?
yeah, you just keep renewing each year and you're good. So you just keep paying your yearly amount and you can keep your pro card.
Huh.
I don't know if there is any like you can like if you won it and then just like quit the rest of your life and you're still an IFBB pro if you keep making that yearly payment. I don't know how that would
Well,
work.
that's what I mean. Like, what if
Yeah,
you not or not even like just not wait, but like, what if you get your pro card and then let's say you pay your dues for 50 years and you're like 70, 80 years old and then step on stage on IFBB
yeah,
pro stage just because you kept your membership that long?
yeah. I mean, it's possible. Let me see if there is even like ba, ba, ba. I'm checking the um. Let me see. Okay, so like really it's here 35. I'm checking the IFBB to see if there's anything that it says about like keeping it renewed or whatever. Like let's see. Yeah, there really isn't like I don't know. Let me see if I can find out. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there's nothing really saying it. I'll look into it. I'll let you know. I'll see if I can find out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is just that um, you just need to keep paying each year. Um,
Because like I'm just thinking to myself, like, what if like some old fart winds up at some at some pro show who hasn't done like any kind of cycle or anything for decades, not years, decades, and just shows up all like saggy and wrinkly, and but he maintained his pro card. So
yeah, no, that's a good question. It's a good question. Yeah, so if you earn IFBB Pro status at a pro qualifier, having 1 year to apply for such status, failing which the athlete must requalify. So
oh, okay, so you have to
you
requalify.
have well, yeah, so you have to get it within a year of winning the show. You see, yeah, so if you win the show, you have to, or you win the pro qualifiers, you win the ability. Like the Junior USA's just happened this weekend. So if you won top two in your class, I believe you can get your pro card, but you have a year from that show to like pay your dues and get your pro card essentially. But like you can essentially say you're an IFBB pro because you qualified.
Yeah,
Um, so now you can compete in pro shows, which is IFBB pro. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. It's interesting. It's an interesting format, and that's why it's like getting watered down too. I've said it before, where like top two of each class, that's so many pro cards each show,
well,
and
that's
it's
another thing. Like when you said that, that was like over the like that seems like over the top because
mhm. It's a
considering
lot.
how many shows there are to actually earn that card in.
I mean, it's really not that many shows to earn it. I mean, nationally, there's a decent amount, but it's like, um, it's like it just gets watered down because it used to be like overall, like you have to win overall to get your pro card.
Yeah,
And like that was a huge honor because you like it's hard to get overall. You have to be the best in the whole division. And like some of these like national qualifiers, like the biggest one is down in Tampa. It happens in I think December of each year. It's the I think it's just the nationals, I think. So like when you win, you're the considered the champion. I think the nationals champion. If you win that show, it's like the most prestigious show. So like all the best amateurs who aren't pros yet will compete there. Um, my coach won the overall a couple years ago, and like that's a huge deal. So like he was interviewed by like Dave Palumbo and stuff. Like it's a pretty big deal. Um,
yeah,
I think Nick Drinking the Power might have mentioned it even. So it's like it's a pretty big show. So like winning overall there is huge. But then you're talking about like 80 something guys. So it's like, damn, one out of like 80 something guys competing. That's pretty prestigious. But then you realize there's like eight fucking weight or height classes and then two cards each. So 16 out of 80. So you have like what, like a 20, 23, 24% chance of winning your IFBB pro card at that show if you just show up. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like it gets watered down because you don't have to necessarily be the best at that show to win your pro card, you know?
Yeah.
And like for this show, this recent one, these two guys, one guy was a client of Dom and one guy was a client of somebody else in the Charlotte area. I'm not going to say who. The guy who won his pro card second got demolished by the guy who won first in the class. He ended up winning overall, the guy who won first in that class. But it's like that's also kind of why it feels like watered down, is because a lot of the time you're going to have one guy that just looks much fucking better than second place. And yet second place still gets their IFBB pro card. And like, that's what this case was. Like, the dude was bigger. The dude was leaner. He had much better proportions. He had better posing. And yet they're still on the same playing field because they're both IFBB pros now. It's like, this ain't even fucking close, bro.
And they were the same height division?
Yeah, same height division. Yeah. So I think it might have been 6 foot and over or something. I don't know what it was. I just know that they're same height division, I think. And because when I saw the videos, they were posing next to each other. So I think it was the same class, and it was top 2 class. I'm just like, this is fucking nuts. This is so, like, it's unbelievable. The difference in everything. So, but yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I mean, I know everybody has different stances on it, and at the end of the day, it's not about, like, you talk to anybody IFBB pro, which, you know, I've talked to a handful, and a lot of them will say, like, it's not about being IFBB pro at this point. It's about what you do as a pro.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them who have it now and just want to put it in their Instagram bios and shit. It's like, are you actually going to compete professionally, or just want to say you're an IFBB pro? You know, you just want to say you're a professional bodybuilder. Like, or are you going to actually compete? You know, so
And
that's my thing.
I think there's almost another tier within that too, because you go from getting your pro card, being able to brag about it, but then let's say you win a pro show, then there's like sponsorship openings, and like, not,
Yeah.
you know, like small scale sponsorships. I'm talking like the big deal stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you get your initial pro card, you have that, and like, that's the incentive of being able, that's like your claim to fame. But then if you actually take it the step further, then you're actually looking at, you know, making some decent money out of it. And then if you go even further, then it's like the O or the Arnold or something like that. So I think, like, you're right with how people can just use it for putting it in their Instagram bio, but then if you're dedicated enough, you'll continue to go through those next tiers and building up.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that, like, getting your IFBB pro card and then competing professionally are two completely different worlds. Some people just get the IFBB pro card as a technicality. Like, if you're competing in, like, and there's 8 divisions and you're like one of 3 guys in that division, like, in that, this happens. Like, this actually fucking happens. There's, like, especially like the 6'1" and up, there's not many guys in men's physique that will compete in that class. So, like, if you got like 3 or 4 guys competing, like, as long as you don't show up as the bottom 2 or bottom 1 or whatever, you're getting your pro card. Like, that's what's so fucking wild. So, like, sometimes you can just get it off a technicality. It's like that guy last year at the Nationals. Remember that? Like, he did not look like he was
Yeah,
a
you
bodybuilder
were
at
telling
all.
me about that.
Yeah, that was just a technicality. I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game, but it's like, you're getting it. You're not really earning it. You're just getting it, you know? So, there are some bodybuilders who've said, like, oh, it's taken me an extra 4 or 5 years to get my pro card, but by the time I got my pro card, I was ready to compete professionally. Like, I was on that level. Like, that's what my coach was. Like, he got his pro card much later than when he started competing, like a few 4 or 5 years after he started competing. Then he got his pro card and, like, started competing professionally the summer after. Like, he took a couple months off, put on some size, then he went into prep for his next few shows. He didn't win any shows, but, like, he was able to compete on a professional stage and at least hold his own. You know what I mean? So some of these guys who get their pro card aren't even close to competing on a pro stage. So that's going to be interesting as well. So that's why I'm, like, not necessarily in such a rush to get my pro card, because even if I got my pro card, there's no shot in hell I'm going to be ready to compete on a professional stage. Like, these guys are much bigger than I am, you know?
Well, we were talking about, I'm blanking on his name, but when the O came around this past year, there's a guy who just took like a year off or something like that, just because he didn't like, he and his coach didn't like his physique, and like there was just too much work to overcome. And just decided, like, even though he'd qualified and everything, like, we're just gonna take like a whole big year off and just revamp everything.
Well, I know Regan Grimes was like that in men's open. I'm not sure about men's physique, but, like, that's what happened when he started with Milos Sarkev. Milos was just like, let's just take a year off, put on some size, because that's what he was lacking. He's like, let's put on some size and we'll come back to the O the following year. He's got to qualify, I'm pretty sure, for it now, but, like, he had to take that year off to be ready for the O. Um,
But at the same time, if you're taking a year off with a coach who tells you to take a year off, you won't have any problem qualifying.
yeah, exactly. Like and really it comes down to like points and shit. And like he's competed on the O stage, so it wouldn't really take too much. And that's what a lot of these guys are going for right now, like Corey Morris and Men's Physique, Ben Quill Pierre. Like a lot of these guys are competing to qualify for the Olympia. And then once they qualify, they're done. There's one guy, oh man, I'm forgetting his name. It starts with an E, who's on the team that I'm on with another coach, not my coach. But once he qualified for the O, he stopped competing. He's like, all right, let's put on some size. So
Yeah,
like now they're
I
putting on
don't
some
blame him.
size and they're going to prep. So it's like once you get the points to qualify for that championship, competition, then you're good. And it's also like the Olympia itself is also a different world because, well, one, the competition level is like you have to win multiple pro shows in order to compete there. So you have to be like top of the line. But then like it's also a huge deal just to qualify for it. So like Corey Morris, the guy who I think is qualified now, he says in his Instagram bio 5 times Olympian, but he's never won. He's not a Mr. Olympia. He's just competed there 5 times. So like
Yeah,
saying that is enough of like bragging rights a little bit. So
I
like
mean,
that's
even
also another ball game.
going to the O once is a flex. Like
I
that puts you
mean,
above everybody.
yeah, it really does. And there was this one guy. So Rich Piana was telling a story. This is a while back. He was talking about this guy from a while back, and he was talking about how this guy was in his 40s, and he was just really pushing it and just really putting on a lot of like he was taking tons of drugs and just eating like crazy. And his doctor was like, "Look, if you compete in this show," he's talking about the Olympia. He said, "If you compete in this show, you're gonna die." He's like, "There's no coming back." And all he was ever driving for was just stepping on that stage. That's all he wanted. He didn't need to
Yeah,
win. He just wanted to step on that stage. He stepped on that stage, got dead last. A week later, he died. And he said sometimes it's just that's all that matters to some people is just stepping on that stage. It's the ability to be able to compete at that level is all people ever want. Like it's like any sort of major league sport. Like, okay, here's another example of that. There's a racer in F1. His name is DeVries. He used to race F2 and then he went over to Formula E, which is electric racing. He got to race one race in F1 last year, which he ended up like doing really, really well. And people were talking about how that one race in Formula One probably meant more to him than winning the championship in Formula E because it's
yeah.
just that much higher tier of racing. So like that's how it is with this. It's like competing in the Olympia is probably so much more of an honor than winning a pro show. You know what I mean? So the Olympia itself is also a different conversation as well. So I don't know. I mean, as far as regionals, I mean, if you ever go to a regional show, you'll see the level of competition. I mean, some people just want to step on a stage and just to say they're a bodybuilder, you
Well,
know?
that's what's gonna happen for me probably like next summer. Not this summer by any means, but next summer just hop on stage just because. Like I
Yeah.
no longer represent like a coach, so I don't have to worry about like not it's not even slandering someone's name, but if you're with a coach, you obviously don't go on stage until coach says so
Yeah.
because you
You're representing
represent
him.
something. Yeah, you represent
Right.
someone else. And so since I'm no longer affiliated with them, I might as well just next year just to like pull a Hamill and like some of the other gym guys just to, not even mess around, but like just to have fun with it. Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
would like at the not probably not so much at the amateur level, but at the pro level, like you probably tend to know most of the guys on that stage, if not friend, but at least know them. So
Hmm.
like you just get that general camaraderie and banter between you guys. So like that's why if I just bring some some guys to a show and just do it, like why not? You get that like added competition level of just trying to beat your buddies and like
Yeah.
just do it for fun.
Yeah, I mean it is a lot of fun. Stepping on that stage, you get you to like pick your song and shit like that. Like there's a lot of fun to
Can
it.
you
It
do
is
that at the amateur level?
I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, as far as men's physique goes, I'm not sure because it's so
Well,
quick. You're on stage for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
I'm
Um,
out there for classic physique or nothing.
yeah, classic, yes, because you're up there for like 30 seconds to a minute. I think it depends on the show how long you're up there doing your poses. So you can pick your own song. Again, men's physique, I'm not sure, but yeah, you pick a song and they'll play it while you're up there. So which is cool. I mean, it's fun and it is a spectator sport. I mean, it's like a lot of the regional side of things is powered by the athletes. So it's like the people who are showing up to these shows are family, friends of the athletes. It's not like
Yeah.
it's like high school games. You know, you're not going to show up to a high school game because you're rooting for Gansett. You know what I mean? You're like
Except
you're
for
showing up.
that random dude with the black hoodie in the stands who's
Yeah,
just
the
there.
one guy who peaked in high school and just can't live it down. You know, but like besides that, it's mostly friends and family that show up. So it's like the regional side, you got the guys who like it's all powered by people who know the athletes and the athletes themselves. But then on the national level and the pro level, that starts becoming a spectator sport. And like the pro level, even they're like broadcasting the shows. You could like they're like pay-per-view and stuff like that. So there's more that goes into it, but regionally, no, it's all the athletes and the family and friends and stuff.
You know how people get hyped when C-Bum does his crowd up thing when he's like about to like lock into a pose, doing that at like an amateur thing, and just hearing like your one family member going,
say one person you hear in the background go, like just the quietest noise, and they're just like, yeah, Christoph.
I'm gonna need you to do that at your show. It's gonna be dead silent.
Literally a
and
whisper.
You're gonna be like, come on.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, there's times where like I'll go to a show and like for like Chewy, right? And there was like 5 or 6 people there for him, so he comes out like dead silent. He comes out, and I'm just like, Chewy! It's like nobody else is saying anything. It's like you just got to get hyped up. But like some people, what's funny at regional shows is that there's some people there who just like hype everybody up. And like, even if they don't know them, and like, let's say like somebody you don't know at all, nobody you know knows them, and you step on stage, start doing your pose, and then somebody's just like, somebody completely random, just like, boom, there it is. Like, hell yeah, hit it. Like, there's always someone like that. It's awesome. It's so funny.
And see, that's the incentive of going to some like low key amateur show, just to just to have that one hype up dude, like don't even lock into a pose, just like walking out like, there he is.
Boom, yeah. You're like, thank you, random ass person. I appreciate you. You could like go to the Cutler Classic in Boston and be like, I'm competing in this only so I can meet Jay Cutler.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, he at his shows he shows up. I've seen him in person. I haven't met him, but I've seen him in person at his
Boston's
Classic.
Down the road from me.
Yeah, it's not that far. So I went to one
amateur show.
Yeah, it's amateur. Cutler Classic. The closest one to me, I think, is Richmond, Virginia. But closest to where I lived and where you live is Boston. So there's that too. There's that incentive. You get to meet the guy who runs the fucking show.
And he meets all the athletes that perform. I
don't see why not. I'm pretty sure he does like a meet and greet kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know when it is. I remember it being cold.
Yeah, when's the Sizer or the Cutler?
Let me look it up. So NPCJ Cutler Classic. Let me see. I don't know. Oh, Lynn. There's one in. Okay, so it's Lynn. It's not technically Boston. It's Lynn. The next one for the Cutler Classic.
Lynn is Boston.
Yeah, it's basically Boston. Technically not Boston, but it's Boston. 4/29. So it's April of next year. The end of April is the next one. So is it a national qualifier? No way. Yeah, it's a national qualifier. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so it's a national qualifier. So it's open, masters, novice, and teen. For bodybuilding, classic, fitness, figure, bikini, men's and women's physique and wellness. So you could do classic, novice, or something like that. You could be like, I'm a teenager. I'm 19. But yeah, it's funny when you see the teenagers show up too, like the teenage class. It's like, whoa, okay, it's like a child up there.
But at the same time, there's some huge young people. Like there's an influencer that recently switched to my gym, and so I see him a lot. I talk to him, and like he posts these I don't even know what he calls them, but he just talks to people in the gym, and it's a mini series.
Oh, he does. Yeah, I think I've seen him. Okay.
His name is Ken Stoph on Instagram. But he just does this series where he talks to people, and he's talking to this one dude, and I've seen this dude in the gym, and he's like a big dude, and he goes, so what does it feel like to be 18, 19 in the gym? And I'm like, excuse me, how old did you just say he was?
I don't like that. Take that back. That makes me feel like shit.
Yeah.
What's his Instagram?
It's
What is
Ken
it again?
something. It's let me
I'm looking it
let
up
me
right now. I
find it.
remember seeing it. I do remember. Oh, here it is. Ken Stapo. Yeah,
Yeah.
about 2,000 followers. I remember him doing. I remember seeing him interviewing someone I know. Um,
Yeah, he just does these like random interviews in the gym. It'll be
natural
like
fitness enthusiast. Yeah, my ass natural. My fucking ass. Um, yeah, here's one right here. Chatting up the bros part two, a 19-year-old
okay,
menace.
that's it right
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I mean, dude's got some size for 19, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's all the problem with teen bodybuilders is that it's superficial. So it's like they stop lifting for a month, it all fucking goes away.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. It's not dense muscle. And you could see it too. Like it's a different look. Um, like dense adult muscle like you could have if you had like a 19-year-old look the exact same, like take them 10 years apart, 19 versus 29, same weight, same everything, he's going to look better at 29 than at 19 just because the muscle is built differently. It's built denser. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's you gotta keep that in mind. Um, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, there is teen competitors and teen divisions, and there's usually like at this regional show I'm going to. I think last year there was like one teen competitor in total, so he
How do
like
you do?
technically won. I mean, he technically won. I mean,
Oh,
he's the
okay.
only teen competitor in
Well,
teen.
I didn't know if
So
he stepped up into a different division too.
no, I think I mean, he might have. I can't quite remember. I do remember. I think it was one team that stepped up there, but I don't remember if he competed in another division or not, like in open or something like that. But um, yeah, it's a different look. They're usually a lot softer and a lot smaller, just because their body's not matured yet, so they can't put on the size and all of that. But um, yeah, so it's the regional show competition is interesting. You see all different walks of life, so it's kind of cool. Um, it kind of revamps like your love for the sport, because it's like anybody can really do it as long as you put your mind into it, and it also like reminds you that like it reminds me that I'm comparing myself to like the top 1% of the top 1%. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm comparing myself to the best of the best, and I need to stop doing that. I need to just compare myself to myself and just be the best that I can be. That's what this regional competition like
I
level will
mean,
do.
at the same time too, like probably I'd say 90% of like consistent gym goers could probably step on a stage just to, experience that.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, if you
as
got
long as you're consistent and like dieting and everything, like you should be able to do something.
yeah, I mean, if you just show up with like a six pack and like a bicep vein, like you're going to be better than like half the competitors at a regional show. You
Yeah.
know, it's just a level that people compete at. Granted, if you're going to compete in like men's classic, it might be a little bit different than like men's open. Like men's open, you see like um a lot softer and a lot more fat on the competitors. And then men's physique, you're going to either see what's funny is that you so when it comes to regional shows is that in each class there's a clear winner. It's like, okay, clearly he's the fucking winner, and then everybody else compete in second. That's what happened every single show I've been to like 4 or 5 regionals. That's what they're all like. You see the competitor and you're like, okay, that guy's clearly fucking first for this class, because they go by class. They go, okay, we're going to do class F men's physique, and you stand in the corner and then they call you out and then you go back, whatever. And then you do like prejudging and shit. We're all next to each other and it's like, okay, there's a clear winner here. Um,
Yeah.
but when it comes to like men's physique, you'll see one of two things. You'll see one, either there's a guy just does not have much definition at all. Like all like way came in way too watery, came in way too fat. It's just not definition at all. But then you got the other side where there's guys who come in way too fucking big. Like, bro, you should not be competing in men's physique. Like that, the last region I went to, I was like, there's like a fucking like gorilla up there. It was like John Cena threw on board shorts and was just like, yeah, I'm going to do men's physique. It's like, dude, you're just way bigger than everybody competing here.
Someone
Like,
who
you're
should
not.
be in like open.
Yeah, like open or even like classic at least. It's like it doesn't make any sense, because they're like, oh, let me be the biggest guy up there. And what made me happy was that at the regional show they put him last. And it's like, okay, thank you, because he does not have the men's physique look. Like he was spilling out of his fucking board shorts because he just had so much obliques that
Yeah.
he did not have an aesthetic look as far as men's physique goes. Um, so like it was just interesting to see that. So you got both sides of the spectrum when you're competing in regional men's physique. And then national, obviously you're going to have like more of like like typically you'll know who the first call out is. And then, so call outs for those that don't know, if there's enough competitors in a class to do multiple call outs, what that means is if they call you out, so like you'll have like everybody line up in the corners, right? So they say corner stage. That's what they say. You say line up in corner stage, men's physique class D. So all the class D guys come from backstage, line up in the corners. You stand in like a relaxed position, which is kind of like your front pose.
which is everybody.
Yeah, you're still kind of flexing. You still want to look good in front of the judges. You don't want to be relaxed, but you're not really like the center of attention. So you don't really need to like make sure you're nailing it. So whoever they call out first, usually it's like 8 competitors, maybe 7, even less sometimes depending on the show. They'll call out those 7 or 8 guys, and that's what's called first call out. And typically, let's say they call out 8 guys, that means those guys are top 8. So like they're all competing for first. If you're second call out, the best you're going to get is 9th because you're not in the first call out. So you want to be in the first call out at least. And then from there, it goes whoever's closest to the middle is usually either first or second, because if it's 8, you're going to have 2 guys in the middle. So like the 2 guys in the middle are usually first and second. If there's 7, usually guy in the middle is first because they're kind of comparing everybody else to you. So you want to be in the first call out in the middle is what's ideal when it comes to prejudging. And then finals, you have like your moment on stage where you do your own posing routine, you have your transitions and stuff. So that's what I mean by call out. So when it comes to national, you'll kind of know who's going to be first call out. Typically, you'll kind of see the level of competition kind of slowly deteriorating. And then second, third, and fourth call out, depending on how many competitors there are, you're just going to see worse and worse and worse physiques. But these guys also qualified for nationals. So like,
yeah, it's not like they're chums.
No, absolutely not. Because like the Cutler Classic, I'm pretty sure you have to, as a national qualifier, I think you have to win overall to qualify for a national show. So you have to win you have to win overall at a regional show that has a national qualifier badge in order to compete at a national level. So it's not like you're going to be showing up to a national show and look terrible. That's why that guy went viral from last year's championships or whatever in Florida, is because he just won out off a technicality. He doesn't look like a competitor really at all. So it's something to, keep in mind, is that these guys have all won overalls at shows, So it's a different level of competition. And then regionally, there's typically not that many call outs really. There's usually just like 1 or 2. But it also depends on the division, stuff like that. There's more competitors in like classic. Like, I'm trying to remember. There wasn't as many competitors. Last time I went to the Victory Classic last year, I think there was more competitors in Classic and Open than there were in Men's Physique, I'm pretty sure. So like this show, the Victory Classic I just looked it up. It is a national qualifier. So if I won overall, which is my goal, it's not just winning my class. I'm aiming to win the overall. If I win the overall, I can technically compete at a national level.
Yeah, national.
Yep. So that would be interesting. So, I mean, it's possible that my coach is like, hey, I'm going to try to get you. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to talk to him more. Hopefully him and I will have a phone call soon to see what the plan is. But what I'm hoping is that we're at a place now where I can come in maybe 90%. So like, here's another thing for those that don't know. There's a lot of nuance when it comes to talking about bodybuilding. And that's kind of what our podcast is about. Is some of this nuance. And one of the nuances is percentages. So when you say like, I'm showing up 90%, you're saying 90% of your potential. Like 100% is like you came in peeled, you came in as big as you can, you came in as perfect as you possibly can with your physique. That's 100%. 90% is you came in 90% to that. You might have a little bit of water, might not be as big as you could be, maybe a little bit flat, something like that. That's what like 90% is. 80% is like, okay, your obliques are kind of fucking washed out. You don't really got much vascularity right now. You're kind of holding on to some water. Your posing is a little off. And then anything below that is like you're getting demolished. So what I'm hoping is I could be at a place where I'm showing up 90 to 95%, win the overall, and use that show as prep for a national show. That's what I'm hoping. Because we've been prepping, not really prepping, but like we've been working towards this show for 2.5 fucking years on anabolics, allegedly, for over 2 years now. So it's like, I should have competed a long time ago, but we've put in the time to be like, okay, yeah, you're dialed in. Like we're ready. Like we're fucking ready to hit this. And what I'm hoping is that either we use this for national show, or we use this as prep for another show, which then we use that show for the prep for the national. So like what you could do is like I could hit this show 8 weeks from then, hit another show, and then a week later hit a national show. You know, that's what some people do. So that way they can get 90% for one show, so they can be super lean. It gives them a deadline, super lean for that show, ideally win it or something. And then they're already super lean, have like, you know, one meal that's kind of off plan, and then do a water cut again and lose some excess fat while holding on to muscle, and then do your national. So I'll find out what the plan is. I don't know if I'm going to win overall. I might not. It's possible. But if I do, I'm hoping that I can do a national show. That's my goal, which in that case would probably be like maybe end of July, maybe. I don't know. But we'll see.
And that just allows for a lot cleaner of a segue too, because if you can go right from one event to your national event right away, you're able to not really miss a beat. Whereas if you, like, let's say you qualify and your national show is like months away, or maybe even like half a year away, like that just is such a different mindset of having to maintain or go into another bulk cut and then figure something out in the meantime.
Yeah. So like what's good about doing it this way is that you can show up to the show and be like, okay, what did we not get right? Even though we won, what is it that we can improve upon? And then work on that over the next however many weeks until your next show is. So that's why these regional shows are used as like prep for a national show. And like my coach, when he had the Victory Classic, he competed in classic physique and he competed in men physique. And what they planned was, him and his coach Dom, what they planned was, we're going to base what you compete in for your national show off of how you place in the regionals in each division. So he fucking swept the floor in men's physique, just demolished. But classic, he ended up getting second overall. So they're like, all right, let's do men's physique. You know, I think he wants to be a classic competitor eventually, but they're like, let's do men's physique because we know that you're really good in men's physique. And that's kind of where I'm at with my coach. He's like, ideally, I would love to do classic. Believe me, I would love to do classic. But if he's like, let's do men's physique for the next couple of years, put on some size, and then when we want to switch to classic, we'll take like 2 years off or something, put on some massive size, and then we'll get into classic, get your pro card in classic, and then start competing professionally from there. So like that, if he says we're going to do men's physique first, that's okay by me. So like that's another thing too, is that you also find out where your competition lies, where your physique lies, you know, who you're going to be standing up against as far as how you look. So that's another thing to consider too, is you don't even know where you're going to compete.
And that's what I mean too, with like, especially on the pro side of things, you start to know the people and you start to know like what you have to compete against. And so it's a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but it's a lot, less tedious on the mind to be overthinking who you're going to be competing. When you know who you're going to be competing, you can just be like, all right, this is who we got to beat. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time too, there's also like some kind of like background manipulation and shit that goes on too. Because it's like for me, I post pretty frequent, like in quotations, physique updates to my stories and stuff. But like when you're competing on a pro level, they don't post that much. They don't necessarily want people knowing how they look. That's why it's huge when like Big Ramy like will post like 3 weeks out and he'll post like a training video with a hoodie on and people are trying to speculate what he looks like because they don't post physique updates. They don't want anybody knowing how they're going to show up, So there's also that nuance to it too, where it's like, I don't really want to give away how I'm going to look. It's not like a sport where it's about performance the day of. It's like you're building up to this point and trying to be the best you can, like the day of. It's almost like imagine you're doing skirmishes for baseball or something every single day and you're posting those skirmishes. They can kind of get an idea of how you're going to play in the game, roughly. Not maybe to a T, but like, okay, they have this strategy. This is how they play. He's got a
T.
Yeah, pun not intended. He's clearly their designated batter, whatever it is. Like, so like they can come up with like, okay, this is roughly how they're going to show up. That's kind of what these bodybuilding competitions are like. It's like when you post photos, it's like, okay, if he says he's 2 weeks out, like we know he's competing in this show. So if he's 2 weeks out with this physique update, holy shit. And that's what happens with Big Ramy, is that he's like, look at how I look 4 weeks out. I look fucking insane. But then he shows up washed out and looks like shit. It's
Yep.
like, what the fuck is going on? So like that's why people can't stand his physique updates, because he always looks better in his physique updates than he does on stage. So
A lot of that also is, photo editing. I mean, like you saw the
yeah,
ones
absolutely.
I sent you this past week. I just took some old shots of mine and did some editing on it, and they look fucking nuts.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I do slight editing to mine, mainly turning down the exposure and turning up the sharpness a little bit, because iPhone cameras naturally smooth you out, which is fucking annoying. I hate it. And they're also way overexposed most of the time. So I turn that down, turn up the sharpening a little bit, and just post that. That's typically what my updates look like. But it's like my competition that I know is competing in that show. I see their updates and I'm like, okay, I think I got this over them, or they got this over me, like whatever. Like I can be like, okay, I gotta accentuate this because they don't have this. I'm like, they don't have, I don't know, let's say like a midsection or something. I'm like, all right, they don't really got a midsection
let's beat them
because
there.
yeah, like so like let me accentuate that because they don't have that. So they're gonna have to hide that where I can accentuate it. And like that's my chest too. Like I got a decent chest. So it's like, okay, let me accentuate my chest because they don't have a chest. They got me in back. So I'll try my best to, look better in back. But like the front pose, I fucking got them.
Yeah.
There's like, you know what I mean? So like that's what you got to keep in mind too. Like this is a competition. It's like I'm gonna have fun. Don't get me wrong. Like I love this, and I love it's gonna be healthy competition. The guys that I know competing, it's gonna be healthy. We're not gonna be talking shit. Like it's gonna be fun, but also like I'm in my mind I'm gonna fucking beat you. Like that's the like that's like I'm not trying to be like a
Mentality.
dick. Yeah, like it's like there's a lot of dicks in men's physique, which sucks. Especially at the top level, like the Olympia level. I feel that Aaron Banks is kind of a dick in some of the stuff that he says. Like he posted a physique update like a few weeks ago, and he was like, "I'm always in their heads." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like people forgot about you already. Like the Arnold was like 2 months ago. No one gives a shit anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's just stupid shit like that. But it's like if you go into the show like that's why I've said in the past, like I'm going into this show at Victory Classic, like I'm getting first. Everybody else competing second. That's the
Yeah.
mindset I'm going in. And I'm going to crush it as best that I possibly can because, again, this is a competition and it's not a team sport. We're not working together here. It's me versus you. So that's how I'm going in. It's like, yeah, like, great. Like, I really hope you do good, dude. But I hope I fucking beat you. That's what I want,
Yeah.
And that's
I
just the
mean,
reality.
that's just how across all sports when you have friends who are competitors on other teams, like
Yeah.
you'll have that moment where you'll go say hi and you have like a good moment with the person pre-game or pre-show or something like that, and then once it's game time, it's like I'm gonna kick your face in. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And so like there is that camaraderie, but there's also that competition too. And like the guys the guys who've been winning the pro shows recently is Corey Morris and Ben Coulpierre. Chris Barr has been getting up there too. And they'll be on like Instagram lives together and talk about different physiques and who came in better, stuff like that. So like there is that camaraderie there. But like at the end of the day, when you're stepping on stage, you are trying to beat them. Like I'm
yeah,
trying to like I want to fucking wipe the floor with you is what I want. Like I want to step on stage at the Victory Classic and be like, oh, he's got fucking overall. Like that's not even close. Like they're all competing for second now. Like who's gonna get second? Like that's what I want. So that's the mindset I'm going into with my training, with my prep is like Florida is like, if I eat this meal, my competition didn't. So they're gonna show up better than I did. So like that's how I gotta think about it. Um, so that's also another driver for me too, is like if I like today, like I woke up early, well, not early, like the same time as usual actually. And I was like, man, I just don't want to go to the gym. I just don't want to train. I don't want to do cardio. It's early. My energy is so low because it's the morning. Usually I lift in like 5, 6 p.m. So like my
yeah,
energy is low. But I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to do it anyways. And like I went and lifted anyways because if I didn't, my competition did. You know what I mean? It's like that's just how it goes. And like my if I don't work out to the intensity that I do or to a high intensity, other people will and they'll beat me. So like that's why I always go into the gym being like, no one's going to outwork me. And I leave the gym knowing nobody outworked me. So that's just how you got to do it. Like that's just it's you're going into practice for a sport. Like I'm trying to be the best player. Like I'm going to work the hardest here. Kobe Bryant was known for that. That's why he had the reputation he did, was because he was the hardest worker out of pretty much every single player in the league. So it's like
there's a
he showed up knowing that.
there's an old story from him from when he was back in the league, and it was some rookie who got drafted to a team, to the Lakers, and
I think I remember
he
this.
he texted, or basically was like new to the team and wanted to go out, and Kobe was like, sure, we can go out, but if we go out tonight, you got to come, train with me tomorrow. And so he was thinking to himself, oh, this is great, I get to go have fun, and then I get to go be like in the gym with Kobe Bryant tomorrow. And so they go out and they stay out till like 2-3 in the morning, and he gets a call from Kobe at 4 in the morning and says, yo, it's time to go to the gym. And then he was in there for, I want to say, the majority of the next day, just working, grinding, and the other dude is dead. But somehow Kobe went out and like partied the whole night with him,
Yeah.
and just was that motivated and that disciplined, and just crushed the entire next day of workouts. And that mindset doesn't come around easy, and that's why people say like Mamba mentality, because he just defined what it meant to have that. So to bring that into like a bodybuilding show, like, yeah, you're going to go have your fun, but now it's time to play, or now it's time to work,
Yeah.
and you just crush it regardless of how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And I've had people in the gym recently come up to me and like, are you cutting right now? They're like, I could tell you look lean. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cutting right now. This is before the show was picked. And I was like, yeah, I was like, we're probably at this point, like within 10 weeks. I'm not sure when. But I'm just in the mindset of just trying to lose fat. So I'm putting in the time. They're like, yeah, you show up before me and leave after me. Like you're here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for like 2 hours roughly every day. Give or take. I mean, usually it's like an hour and 45 roughly, but between training hard and then doing cardio after, I'm there for a while. But like that, there's a story with Kobe as well, where like there's a new player on the team, and he showed up to the gym, the court, and Kobe was already there shooting,
Yep.
practicing, and he talked about, it was a quick snippet, but he was talking about how he was there, and he was like, all right, well, I got to train against Kobe now. He's like, so I'm gonna be here for a while. So he was there training like 2-3 hours, and he was done. He's like, dude, I'm done. So afterwards he was done. He went up to Kobe and was like, dude, why are you still training? Like, you were here before me and I'm already done. And he's like, because you're new to the team and I need you to know. No, it was somebody else on the other team. Never mind. It was somebody else on the other team. And he said, so they were playing home. I think Kobe was playing home, and he said, I saw you come in, and he said, so I needed you to know what you're up against. And he's like, so I'm going to outwork you. And he's like, so I made sure that I was out shooting you and outshot you for longer than you
Yeah.
did. So he like, it was just like that. That's kind of how it goes. And like, I've talked about a lot of bodybuilding is genetics. People don't realize that. To be able to have the genetics compete, even to win an overall regional, you have to have good genetics, at least good enough to be able to win that. So I'm very blessed in that sense. So you have to have those genetics. Most guys don't have those genetics. And then on top of that, to compete professionally, you have to have really, really good genetics, like the best genetics. So there's genetics and there's a talent to it, talent in posing, especially. When it comes to posing, I've always said this: it either clicks or it doesn't. Posing either makes sense or it doesn't make sense. For me, it makes sense. For others, it doesn't make sense. I've seen guys who've done numerous sessions posing with a coach and numerous seminars and all these different, posing videos and stuff that they've watched, and they just don't get it. It just doesn't click. But like for me, I never once, before I even like started dialing in my pose, I never posed with a coach. I never watched any videos. I literally just looked at photos and was like, oh, so that's what he's doing. And then I just
Yeah.
did it the same way, and I got it dialed in. So like it makes sense to some people. There's a talent when it comes to that. But overall, when it comes to winning shows, as long as you have good enough genetics and good enough posing, what comes in from there, which is the majority of it, is the hard work that goes into it. It's the food, it's the training, it's the sleep, it's the prioritizing it. That's what goes into it. Obviously, you can have a good balance with your life, but you need to be able to put in the work to make it happen. And that's why I'm saying, like I posted in my stories today, I was like, it's not just this prep that's going into the show. It's the past 2.5 years of hard work that's going into it. It's the 2.5 years plus the prep going into the show, and the mindset that I've been ready for a show since fucking 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what's going into the show. It's not just this prep. So it's
Which is a
all
long
this.
time too. Like, not enough people realize, like, and it wasn't like when Paul says 2.5 years, that isn't like in the gym 2.5 years. That's with a coach 2.5 years. We're looking at like 5-6 years in the
Yeah.
gym, and then 2.5 of those are just literally just getting ready for this.
Yeah, I was with my coach for about 2.5 years. October 2020 is when I started with my coach. I was with a previous coach for a while, not really aiming for a show. It was more of like a lifestyle kind of thing. So I was in the gym, I think, for about 3 or 4 years prior to actually starting with my coach now. And that was 2.5 years ago, October 2020. So a little over 2.5 years. By the time I step on stage, it's going to be closer to 3 years than 2 years. So um, it's all of this hard work, like countless hours going to the gym. I mean, well over 1,000 hours into the gym um, over those 2 years. And which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, I'm there for an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. So if you figure, you know, 300 days a year or something like that, times 1.5 to 2, and then 2 years, well over 1,000, maybe closer to 1,500 hours. And then all the time I spent eating the food I didn't want to eat and buying all that food and
Yep.
learning more information and, working with my coach and tweaking the plan and going through adversity. Like there are a lot of setbacks that I hit. There's times where I wasn't making progress, times I plateaued, times I had to keto because my cholesterol was bad, or times I had to run blood tests because I didn't know what the fuck was going on with holding on to fat. Like it was just, there's so much that goes into it beyond just training and eating, going to the show. That's why I'm kind of going into it like I need to win overall, just for the affirmation that all of the work that I've done has been worth it. Like I'll be pissed if I don't even win first in class. If I win first in class, I'm be like, what the fuck is the point? Like if I'm at
Yeah.
a regional show and I'm not even winning in my class, what the fuck am I doing? Like I spent 2.5 years. I mean, not that this is going to happen, but if it did, I'd be like, I spent 2.5 years, and then all the years training on top of that, learning the foundation for training, just to not even win first in my class in a fucking regional show that I should have swept the fucking floor with. Like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
is it me? Like, am I not meant for this? So like, this is why I need to just come in as good as possible for the show, because it needs to make up for all the work that I put in. Um, Otherwise, it's just not going to be worth it, because killing yourself for that, not really killing yourself, but like putting in all that work and all that time and sacrificing, like the amount of arguments I've had with people, the amount of fights, and like sacrificing literal relationships in the past because of it. It's like, I need this affirmation. I need this to happen for me, just to be like, okay, I can compete. I can do this. I'm good enough. So like, that's why winning my class is the minimum I'm having in my head. And then winning overall is really what I think I need. But
And that's kind of like what what Seabum's famous for talking about when he was in college, how he sacrificed, literally your college experience to just do what he was
yeah,
doing now. Like if he didn't
yeah,
do it then, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing now. And that's why you have to sacrifice the temporary for the permanent. Like, or
mhm,
not even the temporary permanent, but the short term for the long term, because
yeah,
you're providing yourself access to a life that isn't possible should you do what you want to do now.
yeah,
So it it's all about sacrifice, and that's where discipline comes in. We've talked about motivation versus discipline before, but discipline is just knowing you have to do it. Like
yeah.
motivation, it comes and goes, but discipline, you have to do it.
Most of the
So
time, I'm not motivated,
yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
Very seldom am I ever motivated to hit the gym or do cardio or whatever. There are times that I am motivated, but just some days it's just fucking not happening. I have to go because I need to go. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I feel that 100%. I mean, I never really got like a college experience because I did online schooling, so I skipped that entirely. So I didn't really necessarily lose out on that because of bodybuilding, but like, I mean, there's a lot of times where I've missed out on, drinking with my family or hanging out or eating this, eating that, because I needed to prioritize bodybuilding. I needed to
Yep.
do this or that. And the amount of hours that like, my evenings are work, eat, go to the gym. By the time I come home, I have like an hour maybe to relax, and then it's bedtime. Like, yes, those are my nights. So it's like, there's nothing. And then I have to sleep because you need 8 hours while you're in prep. So it's like, you need to sacrifice a lot of your time for this. Granted, once I'm done prep and back to a bulk, we'll cut out cardio, and that takes up a lot of time. So like, I'll spend less time in the gym overall. But um, it sucks. It's hard. It's hard. And there's times where you put in all this effort and you feel like you're just not making any progress. And like, there's times where like before I did keto, or middle of keto last year, which was like middle of December, like barely could have anything on Thanksgiving, I think. I had Thanksgiving, I think, but Christmas time, I couldn't have any carbs. I had to eat protein, and like it was so hard because I was with my family up north, and I'm just like, man, this like we're like middle of December, like towards the end of December. I'm like, man, we got to do something. Like I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't keep doing this. I'm like, I'm killing myself. I'm starving all the time. Like I feel like I have like shit sleep, and for what? Like we really haven't lost any fat. So then that's when he was like, all right, let's get some blood work done. Let's just see what it is. Let's see if we could figure it out. And then we ended up finding out it was because of my fucking, what's it called? That's why I take cabergoline. It's for my let me look it up. Why am I drawing a blank on it? Prolactin. It's my prolactin. We found out it was my prolactin. Taking cabergoline fixed that entire issue. So it's like there's times where you can put all of the effort in and you don't get any results. So like that sucks, and you got to stay disciplined because it will come back. You will figure it out and it'll come back. And it's like same with shows. I mean, I haven't experienced this yet, but it's like you put in all the effort and a prep and destroying your body and all the time in cardio and all the time in the gym and the lack of food and stuff like that just to get 14th. It's like that sucks. So like there's a whole mental game involved and not just the physical. And just keep going, keep pushing it. So that's like mentally I need to stay tough for this show coming up.
I'll see if the show coming up doesn't work out the way that you have it planned. I'm just gonna play back the audio that you just went on talking about, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, for real. I'll just be like, dude, Paul, if you lose this show, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Go listen to episode 36. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, episode 36, a little over an hour in. Listen from there. No,
comes back and then just immediately qualifies for the O. No.
Yeah, just like regional, national, pro O, like all back to back,
all within a month. Just
just bang, 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 and then you're like, all right, let's get ready for the O. No, that would be so satisfying though if I did win overall at the show and I could listen back to this and be like, yeah, I knew what the fuck I was talking about.
Yep,
that'd be great. But yeah, that's the goal. I mean, if I do win overall, then I mean the plan, like I said, my coach said, especially if his other client is in a different class, he basically says that both of us will end up in the overall competition. Hopefully, if him and I are in the same class, I'll still end up in the overall competition. So overall is going to be first. So for those that don't know, there's a little nuance there. Overall is the first of each class. So if there's 4 classes for height, you do all 4 of them against each other at the end, and that whoever wins that is the overall for the day. It's
which means you have the potential to see that Brian Shaw comparison. You know what I'm talking about when it's giant versus the
that's literally what happens. You got these dudes like 6'2", fucking massive, next to like 5'4", like a lot less size. But that was cool about Chewy winning was he was a lot shorter.
I stand next to Nick.
Dude, I know. That's literally how it was. Like he was competing against like these gigantic dudes, and he ended up winning overall, which is kind of dope. Like he deserved it anyways. Like he deserved it with being how lean it was and his aesthetics and physique overall. But like that's what happens. You got these guys who are tall as shit sometimes up against these guys who are a lot shorter. But at the end of the day, it's you take each person individually and it's like, how do they look against each other, regardless of height, just their overall physique. If you made them all the same size, made them all the same height, like how do they look as an overall package? Who wins? And that's what the overall is about. And the height classes will change. They'll vary whoever the overall winner is. So that's my goal is overall. And then whoever wins overall is qualified for a national show. So that's what I'm hoping could happen, is winning that overall. And I think, like I said, it'll also give me the affirmation that I need. It'll show my family, to show my wife, like what all of this has been worth, what all of this heart, these, everything that we've been through, her and I, and like everything I've been through mentally, everything she's been through, like it'll start to make more sense. And then if we can get to the national stage, my goal from there is top 2 in my class. I don't think if I were to compete nationally, I don't think I'd win overall. That's just a reality. I'm just not there yet. I need a lot more size. But I think that if we do step on a national stage, my goal is top 2 class so I can get IFBB Pro. That's my goal. And I'm hoping that would happen this year or next year.
Gets the text, don't come home if you don't win overall. Oh my God.
Fuck. Looks like I'm winning now because I don't got anywhere else to sleep. So
Immediately goes to the other competitors and goes, "Hey guys, if you got to let me win, like just fuck up on your posing because like I got nowhere to
listen,
go."
I'll give you the overall after. I just need it to look like I won.
Yeah, for the picture.
Yeah, let me just take the overall picture. Let me hold the fucking axe or whatever the hell it is that they're giving for the winner. And I'll send that to my wife so I can go home and sleep in my bed. So I can go home. Like, I just want to go home, dude. I want to be homeless.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. But yeah, no, that's how it is. I'm going into it. It's like I need to show like what it's all been worth, what I've been building up towards. I need that affirmation. So that's what
And I
I'm going
mean,
into.
while having that mindset is good, I mean, and of course, Ronnie is an absolute outlier in the literal sense of the word, but Ronnie didn't even qualify for his first O until 30 something. So,
Yeah,
like, while having that mindset of it all being worth it leading up to this is good, you also have to keep in mind that even if it doesn't work out, there's so much more like lifespan left in your career that you can just go and decimate another show.
yeah. If we show up to the show and I don't win overall, ideally I want to place at least overall. I want to compete in overall. That's my goal. Is at least class. I really want to win overall, and I think I can. But the minimum I want is to compete in overall. And if we don't win overall, we can go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what did we not come in ideal to? And then like a couple months later, after the show, we can compete in another show and just fix what we had wrong. And then we can qualify for a national show from there. So it's not the end of the road if I don't win this show coming up, but I want to go into it knowing that I have all this time put into it. So like there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to win. And
Yeah,
really the biggest thing I need to do right now is just lose my lower belly fat and just get my transitions from posing down. And then from there, I think I should be dialed in for the most part. But again, time will tell. I mean, who knows? I mean, we might be pushing might be pushing me too hard, and it might end up like an elastic band just snapping back, 4 days out, and all of a sudden I'm just not responding to anything, and I just come in flat and fucking full of water, even though I cut it all. Like it just you
big
never know
Rami
what can
who?
happen. What's that?
Big Rami who?
Yeah, exactly. Just pull a Rami. That's all I gotta. That's all that could happen. Is I could just pull a Rami randomly.
Post the absolute most diced photos you can find like a day before and then just absolutely flop at the at the show.
What I've thought about in the past, I've told my coach this. I'm like, dude, you should find like a 6-year-old photo and be like, 2 weeks out, just like look like absolute shit, and just be like, I'm almost ready, I'm almost dialed in. It's like, dude, did you even hit the gym? Like, I think that'd be funny, but that's also like when people actually care. I think it's like if
Yeah.
they're competing at the pro level, I think that'd be funny. Like you pull this like a story, and it's
I
like
was
they're
going to
like
say if
from like 6 years ago.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if we posted something like on our socials, the only ones who are gonna know are you and I, like, and
Yeah,
maybe like a handful of others. So,
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think that'd be funny. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm ready though. I'm definitely ready to compete. I'm really excited. I'm so excited to finally step on stage and finally do it. And it's just now at this point, it's just bringing it all together. It's
yep,
everything I've learned from the past and just really bringing it together and just presenting what I know. Um, Granted, like I said, I still need to learn my transitions, which really isn't hard. Posing for me does make sense, so it's not a lot going into it to learn my transitions. I just need to get the work in. Um, but besides that, I mean, it's just like I said, it's just presenting it. I feel like I've worked on my weaknesses for the past 2 years. I've built up my chest because when I started with my coach, that was my weakness. I built up my chest to a good place, and I'm building up my arms to a much better place, and they've gotten a lot more size. My back is there. My abs are way more coming in now. They're symmetrical. I'm keeping them. I'm keeping them large. My legs are at least going to fill out the board shorts. That's my goal. They don't judge legs, so you don't need to come in with your legs dialed in, but filling out the board shorts to have, you know, a proportionate look is the goal for me. And then coming in just presenting that. And I think that's really what I'm just focusing on is just like everything is just leading up to this point, and I just need to fucking knock it out of the park. And like I said, if we don't hit it to a T and I don't win, it's okay. If I don't place first in my class, the fuck am I doing? But at the end of the day, I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't train to become a bodybuilder. I'm a bodybuilder because I love to train, and that's where it all stemmed from. I just loved lifting. I love training. The the food aspect I could do without, but training and posing is what I love. And because of that, I'm a bodybuilder, and not the other way around. Some people become bodybuilders because they want to be one, and because of that, they have to train and they have to pose, and they don't necessarily love it. Um, who was it that Ronnie was talking about? Who is the guy that Ronnie? Wait, I don't know if you remember the guy Ronnie said like could really actually beat him. He's like he thought that he always had a better physique. Um,
Oh,
why am I drawing a blank? I could say it any other time. I always forget, but he was that example. He was in martial arts first, and he was approached by someone said, "You could be huge in bodybuilding. I think you should be a bodybuilder." So he started training like one, and he hated training, but he kept training like one because he was good at it. He was good at being a bodybuilder. He had the genetics for it. So he became a bodybuilder, but he didn't like training at all for bodybuilder. He loved martial arts. That's what he loved. He loved fighting. But he went to compete because he just had the genetics for it. So I'm not like that. I started training in the gym and I got into bodybuilding because I love to train. So the process is what I love, not necessarily the stage. The stage is what I want to do now, but the process getting there is really what I'm here for. If there wasn't training, I wouldn't do any of this shit.
yeah. And I mean, I've always wondered too, like, even on a lifestyle aspect, how people don't like posing because, like, I'll go and I mean, there's an old Arnold thing where Arnold talks about how he hits a pose like after every single set just because you primed a
Mm-hmm.
muscle and you want to, engage it in another way. And like, there's a lot of mirrors at my gym, so I'll do that just because, why not? It's enjoyable to pose. Like,
Yeah.
once you get past the front double, because everybody does the front double, once you get past that and start doing some of the other poses, like I'll hit like side chests just out of the blue just to check in and see how it's looking, and
Yep.
it's enjoyable to do so. Like that's like a little bit of enjoyment that I find in the gym, and so it always surprises me when people like don't enjoy doing that because you get to just see yourself in a pumped up state. Why wouldn't you want to have that little bit of a boost? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm in the same boat. I agree. And people say posing's weird and stuff, and it's like I get it. It is a weird stance. Like doing a side chest is a very weird thing to do. It doesn't look natural at all, and it's not. It's to accentuate different muscles in a different way. But there's an art to it. And who I meant earlier was Flex Wheeler. That's what I meant. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on his name. It was Flex Wheeler that I was talking about. Flex Wheeler was a martial artist before becoming a bodybuilder, and he just had phenomenal genetics for bodybuilding. That's why he got into it. But in interviews now, he says that he didn't like training. He didn't want to train. He didn't enjoy it, but he did it because he was able to compete on a bodybuilding stage. When he was done bodybuilding, he went right back to martial arts. So,
Yeah,
granted, he doesn't have his leg now. Unfortunately, he still trains. I think he's always still trained like a bodybuilder, kind of to a lesser degree. When you retire, you still train to a lesser degree. It's like that's how it's going to be for me. Is even when I've told my wife, I'm like, even when I'm done bodybuilding, I'm still going to train. Like there's
yeah,
still going to be training. There's still going to be a meal plan. I'm still going to live the lifestyle because it is a lifestyle. It's who I am. It's part of who I am. There's always going to be like, I might not be in the gym as much, I might more like maintenance kind of stuff. Like, kind of on, relatively on plan Monday through Friday, then just kind of like whatever healthy wise, whatever Saturday, Sunday, training like 4 days a week, like push, pull legs, arms, or some shit like that. Like do like a chest day, a back day, a leg day, and then like a shoulder, bicep and tricep day or something. Like whatever it is that I can do to just maintain, that's what I'll do when I retire and stop doing this. But it's always going to be a part of me. Same with like posing. Like it's an art to me. It's truly an art. Someone that I think everybody should check out on Instagram is I think it's Killian Ortega Perez. Is the guy I follow. He posts posing videos, and like he is exactly yeah, it's Killian Ortega Perez. He's a posing coach, and he also competes. He's a IFBB elite pro athlete, so he competes in the Eastern European competitions. Um, but like he's truly like the epitome of like the art. Like he's about the posing. That's what he's all about. And that's what I want to become is like when I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to be a coach. I could potentially be a trainer, like I potentially train people in hypertrophy. But at the end of the day, when I'm done bodybuilding or even in the middle of bodybuilding, what I want to be is a posing coach. That's
Yeah.
what I love. I want to be able to critique people's posing and get paid per half hour session or whatever, and work on somebody's posing and get them dialed in. And like, ideally want to get into classic physique posing and all of that. So like, that's what he does. He has this art to his posing. And that's why I love following his Instagram, is because that's what he posts, is the routines and the aesthetics and stuff like that of posing. But he poses in classic physique style, which is more of an art than like men's open. Men's open is just how fucking massive and lean can I get. Men's physique is like how aesthetic can I be, where and then you're posing in an aesthetic way to just accentuate how you look, symmetrically and all of that. But classic is the art behind it. It's how big, how lean, how aesthetic can I be for the human genetics, like how, like what's the perfect human form possible.
Yeah.
That's classic. And
And
that's
open
where the
is
art comes in.
and open is how much drugs can we take without dying?
That's where they're at this point. Yeah, for sure. And how fucking freaky can I look as well?
Yeah.
Like, it's just absolute freak. So there's that, but there's the art to it. And I think Killian Ortega has a very similar posing style to Lee Labrada. Lee Labrada kind of developed his own posing style back in the 70s, it's called open, closed, open, which is a very beautiful art style as far as posing goes. For those that don't know, when it comes to classic posing, there's so many different poses you can do. There are There's a main four poses for classic. It's going to be side chest, front double. Like typically they'll do like a front lat spread, a rear double, and then what's called a quarter turn. So when you step on stage as a classic, they'll typically say front lat spread or front double. Then they'll say quarter turn to the side. You do a quarter turn, which is kind of flexing your chest a little bit, flexing your triceps, and you're standing up straight. Then they say rear double or rear lat spread. Then they say quarter turn to the right, side chest, or something like that. And then you just hit whatever side they say quarter turn. Doesn't matter what way you turn. Whatever's looks best for you is the way you turn.
Yeah.
So some people turn counterclockwise, some people turn clockwise. It doesn't matter. But then they'll also say side chest. Those are like the main poses that you'll get. But then there's so many other poses during your actual posing routine during the finals that will help the judges determine who should be first. You could be second in prejudging, but then bring it to first because of your finals routine. You could have a beautiful routine and really accentuate your strengths. And they're like, okay, he didn't look the best in prejudging, but he has the routine. He has the posing down. He's got this art to it that brings him to first place. So that's where the posing of, like, that's where the art comes in, not really necessarily the prejudging stuff. It's gonna be the finals. And Lila Brada, who was an open competitor back in the 70s, I think it was the 70s. He has a style, I believe, is called open, closed, open, where when he would transition from a pose, he would consider the pose itself open. That's what it's called. He'd consider open, then he would close his system and open it back up into another pose. So transitioning from like a side chest to a front double, he'll like bring his arm around, like keep his hands together, bring it around, and then like it's an art. It's like you want to move like water. It's like Tai Chi. You want to like move into like flow into the next pose, and you want it to look natural. You want it to look like, holy shit, he just moved from this pose to this pose. We're two completely different poses, but it didn't look like it, So like that's part of the art, and that's what I want to get into. But that's why men's physique gets kind of shit on, is because the posing is so fucking whack.
That's why we've talked about it in the past, but that's why I could never really get behind it, even on a fan side, because like I just don't like seeing the same two things over and over again.
Yeah. And the problem nowadays too, so like I've said in the past, where men's physique originated was like who has the perfect beach body, like what's the perfect body for like showing up to the beach. Like this is like the epitome of like what the average man wants. That's kind of where it originated. So like that's where the standing there kind of showed up, is because it's like, this is what you're going to be doing when you're in public. You're going to be standing there.
Yeah.
So it's like the idea is like, let's see how good I can look while just kind of standing naturally. But then it kind of transitioned into this side front pose, and then you get your back pose. The problem now that I'm seeing a lot more, that's really pissing me off, is that you got the guys in the front pose that literally look like they're just fucking standing there. I love the hand on the hip. That's me personally. But Aaron Banks is one that kind of is bringing this back is that just standing there. You have your hands down. You can't even see your lats at all from the front. You just accentuating your chest and your abs. You're just fucking standing there. And then there's this back pose called handlebars. All the judges at that seminar I went to with Steve Weinberger, all of them said, do not do this shit. And yet they still fucking do it. Even at the Aaron Banks got first and he still fucking did it. It's called handlebars. Whereas you do the back pose, ideally what you want to do with the back pose is the way I think about it is you want to do a lat spread, flex your triceps, and rest your arms on your lats. That's what you want to do. Lean a little bit back, tilt your head up so that you look more straight because you're going to be leaning back. So you want to make it look natural. So leaning your head forward, it'll look like you're leaning back. But if you lean your head up, it's going to look more natural. You want to accentuate your Christmas tree, which is your lower back. You want to accentuate your lower lats, your upper lats, your rhomboids, your traps, your tricep. Yeah, rhomboids, your rhomboids, your traps, all of that at the same time. But what they're doing now is instead of resting it kind of like at a 45 to like a 50-degree angle, maybe 60 at the most, they're doing what's called handlebar. You're riding a chopper. You're fucking 90 degrees with your arms. And it just makes your lats look much smaller because you're not thickening them. You're just spreading them out.
It's like you're almost going like into a front double, like
yes.
on like a classic physique transition almost.
Yeah, so like you're going to do a front double, but before you raise your hands,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, before you raise your hands, you go 90 degrees. That's the pose right there. And it's so fucking dumb to me. And Steve Weinberger was calling it out. He's like, it makes your lats look a lot smaller. It makes your lat insertions look a lot higher. He's like, I don't know why people are doing this now. It doesn't make any sense. So you're starting to see that now. And then another thing that I'm starting to see with this guy who keeps fucking winning second for some reason at these pro shows is he's just standing straight on. He puts both of his hands on his hips, standing straight on. I'm like, dude, it's not 2012. Like we're out of this now. That's not it anymore. That ain't it. That's how they started it in the beginning, where they put their hands on their hips, spread their lats, kind of, they were soft back then and everything. It was a different look, but like, that's how they did it back then. This dude's just standing there. I'm like, dude, you're not even fucking posing. Like, why is this guy getting rewarded for that? He has a great physique. Don't get me wrong. Like, he deserves to be first call out, but like, dude, fucking pose. So you're starting to see that now. And it's like, to have the balls to just stand straight on to the judges and be like, yeah, my waist is small enough for this. It's fucking wild.
Well, that might be part of it. Like, just to have that mentality, that mindset, be like, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to win.
Yeah. And his back pose is shit too. It's too forward. I'm like, he's a great physique. Don't get me wrong. He should not be first with his physique. I don't think he should be first, maybe third, something like that. But his posing should be docked. He should be docked because of his posing. And that's my opinion. And that's also kind of why I want to become a judge one day, is because I'm so fucking picky on how these guys compete. And I think that like you obviously have to go into it without bias. Like, you can't have bias. And obviously there's going to be some unconscious bias, but like when it comes to posing, you should do the bare minimum of just hitting the fucking pose. Like, if you're at least going to stand there, kind of like what Aaron Banks does for his front pose, fine. You're technically hitting the pose, but like the dude just standing straight on, that's not even actually the front pose. That's not the pose that everybody's doing now. That's not what's being called for. So, and like the handlebars, it's like you're technically doing it. You can't really be docked for it, but it just looks fucking whack. So that's another reason men's physique is getting a bad rap, is because you got these guys doing these wacky ass poses. And like with classic, there's different ways of hitting different poses that make you look good. But like, it's when you're doing men's physique, just two poses, and it just fucking just hit them. And if everybody hits them the same way, we can all kind of see who's winning. And if you don't got to prove anything, if you think you could win, then do the same pose everybody else is doing. You don't need to make it different. Just beat them on your physique. That's what men's physique is about. It's who has the best physique. There's no best posing, you know? So just hit the fucking pose and get off stage, show who has the best physique. But
and maybe that's why I'm not as drawn to it, because in sports, like, I'm a spectator, so I want to see a show of some kind. And so that's why classic physique really sets the bar, because like the posing routines, and you're coming out and you're kind of building up the crowd to something. That's kind of my stance on it.
My thing with men's physique, the reason why I'm okay with competing in it is because it's getting bigger and leaner. And it's almost to the point now where a lot of men's physique guys can almost compete in classic just with a little bit more size. So that's why I'm okay with competing in men's physique. 10 years ago, I wouldn't be, because it's not the look I'm going for. I could step on stage right now. I could step on stage 8 weeks out and compete, in men's physique,
Yeah.
relative ab showing, some fat. It's not the look that they're going for now. Now it's peeled, it's pretty big. You got to have muscle, you got to have proportions. So that's why I'm okay with it. But when it comes to the posing, I understand why people aren't into it. So like that's why I don't rat on anybody who's like, I'm not a fan. I get it. I get it. I wasn't the biggest fan at first, but it's just come such a long way in the past like 4 years. Even I've gotten a lot more respect for it. And if you look at it, like, imagine seeing this physique in person, or like in public,
That's true.
not in person,
Yeah.
in public. Imagine seeing this in public. Like, that's the idea behind it. It's like, how would you react to this physique in public? Who has the best physique if you're in public and you're like, wow, that guy's physique is fucking crazy.
Well, that's like Ronnie Winkler would go into the streets of New York with no shirt on and just walk around.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, that's the original idea behind men's physique, is like, who has the best physique for public? Like, who would look the best? Like, everybody would, because like men's physique, you're still going to get people looking at you because of your physique. And that's part of the reason why I'm excited for Florida, is because it's like, I'm going to look the best I've ever looked in my entire life. And I'm going to go to the place that is for that. So that's the mindset behind men's physique. And that's why I'm okay with it. But again, I understand why you're not into it. The posing is pretty whack. But I hope one day men's physique starts introducing more poses. I hope they do a quarter turn, and I hope they do a side chest or something. And then they do front and rear doubles. Not necessarily like posing like classic. I think that's too much for it, considering they don't judge the legs. But I think if we do like a side chest or something where you don't need to look at the legs, it's just how you accentuate your chest, or like, guys are just going to stand there straight and just do a fucking side chest. But
first call out, glute spread.
Yeah, just bend over and spread your cheeks. Spread them. How much hair is in there?
I'd like to see the prison pose, please.
Yeah, every hair is one less point.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, but I think that would be cool. But it's gonna, like, I mean, the difference between now and a few years from now, I think is going to be a big difference. Even the level of competition with like legs. You look 3 years ago, these guys didn't have legs, but now they're
have filling out
legs.
Their shorts.
Yeah, they all got big legs. The shorts are getting, and the other thing too with the shorts, Steve Weinberg didn't like it. He was saying that the shorts are supposed to be just above the knee. That's the idea, is that you're supposed to wear board shorts that you would wear to the beach. But shorts for men's physique are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and tighter, where they're almost like old classic physique shorts. For those that don't know, old classic physique shorts, you couldn't see their glutes. It actually come down their hams a little bit. It was almost like you're wearing boxer briefs, kind of.
Yeah.
So like that's how they're almost getting to that point now. So I like that direction. I think that even though legs aren't judged, but you have proportionate legs, I think you should be rewarded for that, because you have a proportionate aesthetic physique. If you have no legs and your fucking board shorts are baggy and waving around, but then you have a gigantic upper body, it just looks weird. So I think that's the direction I hope it goes in.
Yeah.
So anyways.
And we can hope, and hopefully over the next couple of years, it starts to see some change. Yeah. Frontiered by Paul Max Rusty.
Yeah. No, that'd be great if I could revolutionize it somehow, but I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah. That'd be great, though.
Yeah. I'll keep you guys posted on my show and all of that, and we'll talk about it next weekend probably a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. We are going to wrap things up here.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Check out our YouTube. Check out our website, HGHcast.com. I got to catch up on the videos for there, but for the YouTube. But if you guys want to watch, you can check out our YouTube. Listen on other platforms, but YouTube, we have the videos.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Bye.
See you guys.